this is Jennifer Martinez. In this video, we are going to find the equation of the following scenario. A certain mountain has an elevation of 19,958 feet. In 1904, the glacier of this peak covered 5 acres. By 2002, this glacier had melted to only 1 acre. Part A. Assume that this glacier melted at a constant rate each year. Find this yearly rate. Well, if you remember, yearly rate, a constant yearly rate, means slope. So we're going to write down the formula for the slope. What is the formula of slope? Well, slope we know is the rise over the run, or labeled in math, delta y over delta x, the change in y over the change of x. There's also a formula, m equals y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1, where x1, y1 and x2, y2 are 2 points on the graph. So I would like to find 2 points on the graph. So I'm going to let x be, if you look at part B, x be the years and y be the acres. In part B, they let it be t and a, but I'm going to change it to x and y. The reason I did this is I'm looking for the yearly rate. So I would like to know how much it's melting. So if I figure out the acreage per year, that would give me a rate. The other reason I chose y to be the a and x be the t and not vice versa is because if I look at part B in the hint for my future, is they want me to find the linear equation of the acreage a. So usually the a simplifies the y, right? We're looking for y equals mx plus b, but we'll do that in part B. So if we look at the first sentence, a certain mountain has elevation of 19,950 feet. That's neither the years or the acreage. That's an extra piece of information that you do not need. They're trying to trick you. In 1904, so I'm going to start with my second sentence. In 1904, so I'm going to look for an x comma y, and x is the number of years past 1904. So since we're in 1904, the x is 0. Cover 5 acres. So that means my y would be 5. My third sentence, and by 2002, well, what is the years past 2002? So I got to take 2002 and subtract 1904, and I get 98. If you can see here, 2004 minus 1904 is 98. So that's why my x is going to be 98, the years past 1904, in my second point. And in 2002, after 98 years, it only melted to 1 acre. So my y is 1. Those are going to be my 2 points I use in my formula x1, y1, and x2, y2. So let's write down the formula again. Plugging in these numbers, we get y2, which is 1, minus y1 is 5, over y2 is 98, minus x2 is 0. So we get negative 4 over 98. That is the answer, but if you look at the directions in parentheses, it asks you to round the nearest thousands. Type in a decimal or integer and round the nearest thousands. So if I do that, if you take negative 4 divided by 98 on your calculator, you get negative 0.0408 ... But they want you to round to the nearest thousands, so this is tenths, hundreds, thousands. Since the one next to that is larger than 5, this is closer to 0.041 than 0.040. So the answer they're going to expect in that box up there is 0.0401. You can actually add an extra 0 here if you want, but that's not needed. That is the answer to part A. Now it says for part B, it says use your answer from part A to write a linear equation. If you remember, linear equations are lines. And this makes sense because we were using a constant rate. And we know that all lines have a constant rate or a constant slope. So what is an equation? What is the equation of a line, or what is the formula for a linear equation? Let's go down to part B. Scrolling down, I've written the equations here. The equations of lines, or of linear equations. One is slope-intercept form. What is that? Y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. The other formula we know for equation of a line is called the point-slope form, and I have the formula written down there as y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where m is the slope and x1, y1 is a point on the graph. Remember that the x and the y are variables. All the other letters are considered constants. So I'm just going to use the information that I had from above. We knew what the m was. If you remember, m was negative 0.041. And I had a point. We could either, if you scroll up, the first point or the second point, it does not matter, but the first looks easier. So I will use the first point, 0, 5. That's going to be my x1, y1. So I'm going to write down the second formula and plug all the constants in. Leave the y alone. Plug in a 5 for the y1, m. Plug number in for m. Leave the x alone. Minus x1 is 0. That is the equation for the line. But notice if I look at the directions down below in parentheses, it says simplify your answer. So we should probably get rid of the parentheses and type your answer in slope-intercept form, which is the y equals mx plus b. So we also need to solve for y. So let's go ahead and do that. So first I'm just going to get rid of parentheses. And that 0 doesn't matter. Then if I add 5 to the whole thing, that would be my y equals mx plus b. Now, if you looked at the very beginning, it did say to type in the formula. It says write a linear equation that gives a, and a was my y, of this glacier t years. So they might expect you to use the a and the t. If that's the case, you just change this to a. And, oops, you change the x to t. That is the answer they expect you to type in. So what does this all mean? Well, we know that the m is the slope, so we know that the rate of change of acres, it's decreasing by 0.041 acres per year. 5 is initially, which is at 1904, it started with 5 acres. So that's what the M and the B represent. Hope this helps.